hello, beautiful people. Good morning, good afternoon, bonjour, salam alaikum, wherever you are in the world. I hope you are having a wonderful day. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Darine, and I'm the host of the Standout from the Cloud podcast, the leadership podcast dedicated to helping you amplify your voice, impact, and influence. And so on this podcast, I have the privilege to interview every Wednesday live on LinkedIn leaders from all over the world, leaders in the industry who share their story, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because we know as leaders, like it's a roller coaster. It's a real journey, but we are here and we are passionate about making an impact. And today's guest is not different. Today's guest has a special story, and when I heard about her story, I was like, no, I really want you to share it with us because this is a reality that a lot of you may face, and we know, or at least you know, someone who has been suffering in silence. So let me give you further information about our standout guest before I bring her on. So today's guest is Marianne Balogun. She is a seasoned marketing communication specialist with over 10 years of experience supporting international clients and industry in strategic and communication matters. She is the author of the book The Different Faces of Narcissism, How to Recognize, Neutralize, and Protect Yourself from Toxic People Disguised as Friends. Yes, yes, because it can happen in a professional setup, it can happen in a personal setup. These things happen, right? So, in writing this book, Marianne hopes to help readers learn from her experience. She believes that you recognize narcissistic traits early and you can avoid falling into the trap. So, when you know what are the red flags in front of you, when you know how to recognize the red flags, then you can avoid getting entangled by them. Right? So are you ready to get started? And let us know where you are tuning from. We know that we have a beautiful international community. So use the comment, share your experience, and ask your question. This if you have been suffering or if you have been, you know, seeing someone suffering, then this is an opportunity to get questions so you can get or you can provide support. So without further ado, help me welcome Marianne.
Hi,
Hello,
Darine.
how are you doing?
How are you this beautiful summer afternoon?
Yes, we're doing well, and I must tell you, Marianne and I, we are based in Toronto, Canada, and today is a beautiful day. We are lucky to have a beautiful summer. It's rare enough for us to mention it today because listen, we have learned to enjoy and appreciate the beautiful weather in Canada. So,
Yes,
Marianne, wow. So we were chatting before going live, and I was asking you questions about your experience. And you told me something I didn't know. You came to Canada not so long ago.
yes. I came here in 2019. I came to study in 2019. I came to benefit one of the advantages of this beautiful country that we call Canada.
Yes. And so the thing is, when you told me the date you came to Canada, the first thing that came to my mind is, oh God. So as soon as she came, not so long after COVID happened. So
Yeah.
how was your experience like, being in a new country and finally, being like caught up in the COVID pandemic? How was it? How was your experience?
So I just came in. I just landed. I basically don't have any family here. I was lucky enough to make some friends in the college that I came to study at, and while I was just trying to settle in, the COVID pandemic hit, and the first wave, and the government had said that the lockdown had to happen. So it was quite unfortunate for me, that just coming in, I hadn't been able to explore this beautiful country, before the pandemic started. And as we all know, the pandemic went on for 2 years. So it was not a very good time. It was not a very good experience, I would say, for me. But I'm glad that we all came through it in good health. That's the most important.
Yeah.
And, of course, one of the experiences that happened to me while the COVID was happening is what we're here to talk about today.
Yes, and exactly. We are going to talk about the different phases of narcissism. So, why this topic? What happened to you to make you want to write about it?
So I wouldn't say that I haven't encountered a narcissistic experience before. It happens. It's very commonplace these days. It happens everywhere. It happens in the workplace. It happens, within your personal relationship. It happens in marriages. So it's commonplace. But this one, I would say this one really impacted my life in that it was happening for a whole year. It took a while to even realize what was happening. It took a while to realize that I was being manipulated and I was being used to manipulate other people. It was very life shattering. There are a lot of people that it made them change. It impacted their lives, I would just say, in very serious ways. Made them make serious changes. So I just thought, you know what? And when I was able to now take myself away from the whole situation, and I was able to sit there and reflect and connect the dots, I was like, I mean, I, people need to other people. I felt the need to share it with other people. I'm a kind of person that I'm driven to help. I'm driven to help people. I'm driven to help people achieve whatever it is. It might be in career or the personal life. So I felt the need to put it in a book, and it was happening for a whole year. So it was a lot of content already, and then I
Yeah.
just felt the need to share it so that whoever is lucky enough to not go into such an experience, if they're lucky enough to read it, they can be able to protect themselves because, like I said, while everything was happening, I had no idea what was
It
even
was
happening.
happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So this could be happening to other people. The
So,
thing with yeah, go
so
ahead.
let's take a look at what a narcissist is, because in order to understand that you are in a toxic environment or that you are being manipulated by a narcissist, you need to be able to recognize it. So, what would you qualify, or what are the traits, the common traits that qualify a narcissist?
Okay. Before I go into some of the characteristics to identify a narcissist, I will give you a brief definition. You know,
Mhm.
so a narcissist typically has an inflated sense of their own importance. They have a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, and generally they lack empathy for others. So that's already those three things are already traits to look out for. So when you see someone that you know it's not very considerate. It's not very considerate to other people's needs. You might want to take a step back and be like, might this person be a narcissist? And then of course, narcissists are diagnosed with a narcissistic personality disorder. That's one of the clinical condition. You know,
So, do they
some
know? Do they know that they are narcissists then?
Uh, well, I'm not a psychotherapist or a psychologist, so I wouldn't know. But what I would say in regards to that, in like everything, I would say we, I, we all even have narcissistic tendencies, because in a sense where you decide sometimes that you want to be selfish, that I think that that's a little bit of a narcissistic tendency in itself. But the difference is the type of narcissist. So this person is going out to inflict harm on you to feel better. Those are the kind of people that we are trying to protect ourselves. against.
Okay. So,
Yeah. So
so yeah, so can you now dive a little bit more into the traits? So you gave us a definition, the red flags, to at least, question ourselves on the nature of the relationship and, maybe the nature, the outcome that could come out of this relationship. And again, being at work or being in a personal setup. So now, what are some of the traits like? That they are like a no no.
okay, so some of the characteristics to identify a narcissist or a person that has narcissist personality disorder is, of course, I just mentioned they have a very high sense of entitlement and they require constant and excessive admiration. There are people that require that have sense of entitlement. I mean, I would say some growing children, toddlers have sense of entitlement. So that's why I said there's a narcissistic trait in every one of us. It's just how we manifest it, and how it affects people. And those are the ones that we need to protect ourselves against. They want to be recognized as superior every single time. They want to be recognized as superior, and they don't even contribute to the action that they want to be recognized for. You know, they exaggerate their accomplishments, and you find that most of them take credit for other people's achievement. Now, this happens in the workplace. You would see some of those bosses, that exaggerate their own accomplishments, exaggerate what they bring to the table, and then they end up taking credit for your work. I've seen it happen so many times. In my profession, I've put together stuff, documents, blah blah blah. We get to the client's office, the client is presenting, we're presenting to the client, and then the client says, "Oh, I like that," and the boss says, "Oh, I put it together," or instead of saying the team put it together, the boss takes credit for it. So it happens, but like I said earlier, it depends on how is it affecting that person. How is it affecting people? How is it affecting people positively or negatively?
And like for those of you watching the live or watching the replay, let us know in the comment if you have ever encountered like someone like this. And when you talk about the boss taking credit for your work or for the teamwork, I'm sure many of the people in our audience have at least once experienced the same. So let us know in the comment because I'm very curious to know to see how many of you have a similar experience. So you mentioned like that was not your first time to encounter a narcissist person or being in a toxic situation, but this one, the latest one, stood out because it lasted for 1 2 year. So can you give us more details or examples of what happened to you?
So it's a lot. A lot happened, and that's why it's been documented into a book. I think one of the first reasons why I thought, how do I share this experience? It's a lot. It has a lot of connecting factors. So how do I say, oh, this is what happened, that's what happened? So I'm going to have to, try and get people to read the book. It's just a 2 hour read, and it's available on Amazon. And of course, we did have some copies at the launch that just concluded launch that we had at the Toronto City Hall on the 15th. Um, I mean, I don't know. So when you ask me that, I'm like, where do I start?
So
You,
what,
you know,
can you give us an example or maybe the one that was um, the more impact the one that the more impacted you maybe, or one of the cues that made you really think about it, the one that maybe made you realize, oh, okay, now because of what happened now, I can connect all the dots. This is happening the time that was like too many times. Like, give us one or two examples.
okay, so I would say it was because